Hey everyone! I want to share a story about my mean mother-in-law and my not-so-great husband who didn't stand up for me. I'm going to use fake names to keep things private. Let's pretend my name is Peyton, my husband is Grant, and my mother-in-law is Joan. There's also my grandma Lily who helped me through tough times. Let me start from the beginning. Grant was a pretty good boyfriend. I loved him a lot and was excited when he proposed. But things got rough after that. Grant started showing signs that worried me. I found out he was super close to his mom Joan, as she had a lot of control over him. Joan was the first problem. She lived with us and relied on Grant for everything. One day, she showed up with some papers and told me to sign them right away. "What are these papers for, Joan?" I asked. "This is an ironclad prenup that you both need to sign. It says that in case of a divorce, neither of you can ask for anything from the other. Sign it now," she demanded. "Wait a minute. Did you make a prenup without talking to us? That's really embarrassing, Joan." "Why would you do that?" I protested. "I did it so you can't take my son's things if you get divorced. You make less money than him, and this house belongs to him. We can't trust you not to try to take everything. This is crazy, Peyton. I'm not as bad as you say. This is ridiculous. I won't sign a prenup like this. I feel offended. You should have discussed this with us," I argued. "Actually, I know about the prenup. It's not a big deal, Peyton. If you're really not with me for money, you shouldn't have any problem signing this," Grant interrupted. I was surprised that Joan and Grant had talked about it without telling me. I wasn't with Grant for money, but I hadn't told him about my inheritance yet. Grant and I argued for days, and Joan kept insulting me for not signing the papers. Eventually, I turned to my grandma for help. She listened and said, "Are you sure you want to marry this man, Peyton? I don't think he's right for you. You two aren't even married yet, and he's already teaming up with his mother against you. It's just this one issue, Grandma. I truly love Grant, and he loves me too. I can't imagine being with anyone else. He's a good guy," I defended. "Well, if you've already made up your mind, I suggest you go ahead and sign the prenup. I'll have my lawyer review it first though. But I have one request. Don't tell anyone that your grandparents are wealthy. I haven't told them anything yet," Grandma advised. "But why shouldn't I tell them?" I asked. "I understand things better than you, Peyton. You're seeing them through rose-colored glasses. Your grandfather and I worked hard for this fortune. I don't want anyone taking advantage of you and stealing your money," Grandma explained. "You don't have to worry, Grandma. I won't tell him anything since you asked me not to. Plus, Grant is a good man, and he'd never do that. If his mother gets too much, I'm sure he'll protect his wife," I reassured. I was wrong though. Grant was awful, and his mother was worse than I knew. I gave in and signed the prenup, and later realized it was a smart move. Right after we got married, Joan started abusing me regularly. Even with the prenup, she verbally and sometimes physically abused me. I'm too ashamed to talk about everything she did. But I'll share one incident that was a turning point in my marriage. One day, when I got home from work, Joan barged into my room with a smirk. She handed me a big bag of clothes and ordered me to wash them. I didn't argue because I was used to this treatment. I knew if I refused, she'd tell Grant, and then they'd both verbally abuse me. So, I picked up the heavy bag, even though it was tough for me. As I walked down the hall, Joan purposely tripped me, and I fell. I hurt my ankle badly and screamed in pain. Joan just laughed and left after giving me an ice pack for my ankle. I called Grant. "Grant, I fell and hurt my ankle. Your mother tricked me today. I've endured her abuse for too long. You need to do something. She's gone too far." "Don't make up stories about Mom, Peyton. She wouldn't do that. You just want her out of the house and don't want to do chores. Stop lying and saying bad things about my mom," Grant argued. "I'm not lying, Grant. Please trust me. Don't ignore what I'm saying," I begged. Grant just hung up on me. He never defended me and always acted like I was the problem. I stayed quiet because I didn't want him to leave, but this time I couldn't handle it anymore. I couldn't take it anymore. I was secretly seeing a therapist with my grandma's help because their abusive behavior was too much to handle. It was clear I had to leave. What made me even angrier was Joan sending me nasty texts, saying I deserved what she did, and Grant never standing up to her. I was furious. I decided I needed revenge, and the chance came later. When my grandma passed away, I was sad but also relieved because she was in a lot of pain. I couldn't bear seeing her suffer. I stayed strong, thinking she was finally at peace with my granddad. Grant didn't offer any support when she passed. He didn't even come to the funeral. But he found out I inherited $250 million. Yes, they were that wealthy. Grant was shocked. He suddenly started being really nice to me when we got home. The next day, I woke up to another surprise. Joanne was standing at the foot of my bed, looking at me sweetly. I was shocked to find her in my room, staring at me strangely. I didn't know what to make of it. I had a feeling something like this might happen, but seeing my abusive mother-in-law's face change was starting to creep me out. I said, "Why are you here, Joan? No one told me you were coming today. And why were you staring at me while I was sleeping?" "Oh, I came early to help you with chores. I made you some tea, it's right by your bed." "I know how much you love tea, so I got a special batch for you," she said sweetly. "You didn't answer why you were in my room while I was sleeping. Honestly, Joan, it's really creepy. I was just trying to massage your feet, Peyton. I know you hurt them when you fell carrying my laundry." "Your feet must be sore, so I thought I could help," she explained. "You're the one who tricked me that day, Joanne. How dare you come in here and try to massage my feet? Have you no shame?" I exclaimed. Now, don't overreact. It was just a mistake. I didn't have you fall or that the laundry was so heavy. I already massaged your foot to make up for it, didn't I?" she replied. "Do you really think massaging my foot makes up for all the abuse you've put me through? You're out of your mind, Joanne. Get out of my room. I don't want to see your face right now," I demanded. "All right, I'll be in the kitchen making you breakfast. You don't have to worry about a thing. I'll take care of everything, including making sure Grant has everything ready. You just take your time and freshen up," she said sweetly before leaving. Her sudden change of behavior left me feeling unsettled. Even as I lay there, I couldn't shake the feeling that she had invaded my privacy and was acting strangely. Money can make people do strange things, you know. Joanne is a perfect example. Grant must have told her to be nice to me to avoid any issues with my inheritance, which probably prompted her visit. But neither Grant nor Joanne knew that they wouldn't get their hands on my fortune. I had made sure of that. I got out of bed and dressed in my best clothes. It was my day for revenge, and I wanted to look my best. My therapy had been helping, and I finally had the confidence to stand up for myself. I went down to the kitchen with my bag in hand. Inside were some important documents I needed to send out today. I think you can guess what I was about to do. I found Grant and Joan in the kitchen, looking very pleased and whispering to each other. When they noticed me, their smiles widened even more. Grant pulled out a chair for me while Joan started preparing a plate for me. I said, "Why did you make breakfast today? I could have done it myself. You didn't have to go through the trouble." "It's no trouble at all, Peyton. I'm happy to do this for you. It's just breakfast. My mom can help out. You don't have to worry about any chores from now on. Once we sell the house and move to a mansion, I'll hire a housekeeper. Until then, my mother can take care of everything. I'll help her too. You think buying my medicines is a waste of money, but suddenly hiring a housekeeper is affordable for you. And how do you plan to buy a mansion? Robbing a bank lately?" I retorted. "Don't be absurd. We have enough money to do anything we want now." "You just inherited a lot from your grandmother," Grant replied confidently. "Yes, Grant's right. Finally, we're rich. We don't have to worry about money anymore. Your inheritance will last us a lifetime. We can do whatever we want now," Joanne added. "Yeah, I've been thinking about quitting my job. I was getting burnt out here anyway. Maybe we can take a vacation and have some fun. What do you think?" Grant added. I burst into laughter at their words. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It had only been a day since I got my inheritance and they were already making plans. They really thought I'd just hand over the money and let them do whatever they wanted. As if pretending to be nice would erase years of abuse from my husband and mother-in-law. Joanne and Grant looked uncomfortable with my laughter, trying to avoid eye contact. Maybe even they realized how ridiculous their plans sounded, holding on to the hope that I'd forgive them magically. After laughing for a moment, I said, "Wow, it's only been a day since I got my inheritance and already you're changing your tune so drastically. Money really does make a difference, doesn't it? Let's not dwell on the past now. We had no idea this good fortune was coming our way. We would have treated you better if we knew. Keeping secrets from your husband and in-laws isn't right, Peyton. That was sneaky of you. Anyway, what should we do with all this money?" I was thinking of buying a house and going on a Caribbean vacation. "Don't just say house, Grant. Say mansion or villa. We could even get a penthouse. It would suit our new status better. We're millionaires now after all. All my friends would be so jealous, Joan added excitedly. I listened to their chatter and casually took out the documents I'd been hiding in my folder. Joanne and Grant looked at me expectantly, as if I was about to hand them papers saying all the money was now theirs, but they were in for a shock. I held the papers in my hand and said, I need to correct you both. We're not millionaires. I am. The money is mine. And I inherited it. Yes, you got the money, but we share everything. We're married, so you should share your money with me, Grant insisted. And as your mother-in-law and your only family right now, you should share the money with me too. We're family after all. You're my daughter as much as Grant is my son, Joanne added. It's ironic how suddenly I've become your daughter, Joanne. Until yesterday, I was just a witch your son married. Anyway, don't get too carried away. We won't be family anymore. Not that we ever really were, I retorted. What do you mean, Peyton? I'm your mother-in-law, so I am family, Joanne protested. How could you be my mother-in-law when I won't be married to your son anymore? If Grant loses his title as my husband, you'll mean less than nothing to me, I replied firmly. What's going on, Peyton? Why won't I be your husband anymore? What's this about? Grant demanded. Well, I filed for divorce. I did it the day after my grandma died. I won't be staying with you anymore, Grant. You're a terrible husband and don't deserve to be one, I declared. With that, I threw the divorce papers on the table. Grant and Joan both read the papers to see if I was telling the truth. When they finished reading, their eyes widened in disbelief. They looked at each other with worry, realizing the seriousness of the situation. I guess they didn't think I'd have the courage to file for divorce. They said, What's this, Peyton? Why are you filing for divorce? This doesn't make any sense. You think I'm weak enough to stay in an abusive marriage forever? Why are you surprised, Grant? I warned you this was coming. I told you the day Joan tricked me. My God, why are you still dwelling on the past? I've already apologized for it, and it's over. You need to be more forgiving. This isn't enough reason for a divorce. Mom has already made up for that, Grant argued. So you, Joan, admit to tripping me and all you say is to get over it? Well, listen up, guys. I'm divorcing both of you and you won't get a penny of my inheritance. I can't believe I fell in love with such a horrible man like you, Grant. I'm ashamed I tried so hard to impress a monster like you, Joanne, but this abuse stops now. We're definitely getting a divorce, and we can do this the easy way or the hard way, I asserted. Suddenly, Grant and Joan looked furious with me. I guess they didn't like being called out for their behavior. They knew I was serious about the divorce since I'd already filed for it. It wasn't a threat to get what I wanted. They were now willing to comply with my wishes because I had a lot of money. What's the point of divorcing me, Peyton? You have more money than me because your inheritance is our marital asset. I'll get half of it anyway. You might have half, but most of it will be spent on the lawyer. Did you forget about the prenup we were forced to sign? Your dear mother-in-law can remind you of it. She insisted we sign it, Grant retorted. It suddenly hit them that they'd screwed themselves over. Back then they never imagined I'd become a millionaire. They wanted to protect themselves because they knew no reasonable woman would stay with them after their abuse. The prenup was their way of avoiding consequences for their actions, but this time they'd only hurt themselves. They'd dug their own graves. The prenup was in the past. I'll consult a lawyer and see what options we have. We won't let you walk away with all that money. You're just using this to threaten us. You can't do anything to us, Peyton. We'll take your money and do as we please with it, Joanne snapped. So, you're planning to fight me in court? Don't worry, Peyton. We'll make this tough for you. You can't make decisions on your own. I'll fight you in court. You can't get divorced without my signature, remember that, Grant threatened. Really, Grant? You're going to deliberately make things difficult for me? That's not a problem. I'm prepared for anything. I have some tricks up my sleeve, I countered. What do you mean, Peyton? Joanne asked nervously. Joan, remember how you confessed to tripping me and abusing me in those texts? Well, I'll use them to file a report with the police. That could be quite an event, wouldn't you say? I stated calmly. No, you can't do that. You can't do that to me. That's impossible. I'll delete all the texts. Don't worry, Joanne stammered. Danon, I have all the texts saved and sent to some of my friends. Trust me, I'm perfectly capable of reporting you to the police. And I can also show how Grant knew and did nothing to help me. It'll be an uphill battle for you in divorce court, I threatened. Joan and Grant immediately started apologizing profusely. They'd forgotten that I had the power to put Joan in jail. They thought I'd moved on from the incident, but I'd been biding my time, waiting for the right moment to use it. Joan and Grant were in deep trouble. They didn't know what to do. I took the divorce papers with me and left the house. I'd collect my things the next day. Grant and Joan tried to stop me, saying, "Don't leave, Peyton. Let's sit down and talk about it. We can handle this like adults and not make any rash decisions. And where will you even go? You have to stay here anyway. Let's discuss it. I'm moving into my grandmother's house. It's already been transferred to my name. I'll be living there while I wait for Grant to decide on the divorce. I'm taking the papers with me so you can't damage them and force me to file again. And as for my belongings, I've taken pictures of everything. Don't even think about damaging or getting rid of anything," I replied firmly. Grant and Joan continued trying to stop me, but I had already called a friend who was waiting for me outside. I got into her car and drove off with her. Grant and Joan watched us from the door the whole time. After arriving at my new place, I contacted a moving company to bring my belongings from the house. In the following months, Grant and Joan tried their best to change my mind, but I kept reminding them about going to the police. Since Grant hadn't signed the divorce papers, he talked to a lawyer who informed him that the prenup was solid and he had no way out. After being threatened by me multiple times, Grant was forced to sign the divorce papers. He didn't want his mom to go to jail, and he knew I would never give him another chance. Grant didn't take the divorce well and started blaming Joan for causing problems between us. He believed she was the reason he missed out on becoming a millionaire. After numerous fights, he ended up kicking her out with nothing. Since Joan depended on Grant's money, she was left homeless and without resources. Last I heard, Joan was in a homeless women's shelter, unsure of what to do next. I informed everyone about how awful Joan and Grant are, so they've been isolated from others. No one really talks to them anymore. As for me, I'm enjoying my new life and watching the aftermath unfold. I still stay at my grandma's place because it holds sentimental value for me. With my inheritance, I've donated some money to women's help centers and plan to do more for them. The rest of the money has been invested and secured for my future family. I still work at my old job because I don't want to sit idle. Life is good so far, and I'm hopeful I'll meet someone who deserves me.